Hello and welcome to assignment 9. You're making so much progress and we've got some really exciting news for you today because you're at the top of the hill, which means everything you've been doing so far has been leading you up to this point, which is the suggestions. And that's ultimately what your client's subconscious mind is going to use to create a new empowering program and to shut down old programs that are obsolete. They're no longer helping that person anymore, and that person's seen conflict in their life through their friends and their family and situations, proving to them that their current actions are no longer working for them. And that's how they ended up coming to see you. So let's move on to assignment 9 and find out some more about suggestions. But before we do that, let's look at the hypnotherapy success rate. And in 1970, Alfred Bariso conducted a meta-analysis of hypnosis research studies, which led to the mainstream acceptance of hypnosis as an effective form of therapy. And what he concluded was hypnotherapy had a 98% success rate after only 6 sessions on average, compared to behavior therapy with a 72% success rate after an average of 22 sessions, and psychotherapy, a 38% success rate after an average of 600 sessions. So you can see how effective hypnotherapy is, and what we are studying is actually the module 1 of interactive hypnotherapy, and what you're going to specialize in is getting that 6 session average down to 1. That's right, 1 session. So if you go to page 4 of your scripts and principles, we've collected many different studies proving how hypnotherapy is a very powerful modality. And what we've done is we've highlighted these studies in very specific areas like pain, weight, and other phobias and fears that are created. So have fun reading through that and allow it to empower you as a hypnotherapist, and add it to your repertoire of knowledge. So when you're speaking to people, you have facts that you can present that will help them understand how powerful hypnotherapy is. So we're on step number 6, which is suggestions. Let's look at the definition. A suggestion made to a person in a trance state that specifies an action in line with the client's requirements. Now, this is important. We have to find the precise suggestion that is in line with what they want to achieve. And let's find out how to create those suggestions. Why are suggestions essential? Suggestions create a desired outcome for your client, creating change at a subconscious level. Creates alignment between the conscious and subconscious mind. So when your client comes to see you, there isn't an alignment. There is conflict. So at some point, the program that was created through a significant event or a learned behavior from your client, that program that was created was serving a purpose at that time. And then when it didn't serve a purpose anymore is when the program was projecting into the consciousness of your client, and they became the observer of something that they've never noticed before. And the stimulus from the outside world has started to help them learn the lesson that needs to change. And the more the stimulus takes place, the more the conflict. And this is where there is no alignment between the conscious and subconscious mind. And that's what we're creating. So we take people into a deep state of trance, we make the suggestions, and then we create the alignment. So now the stimulus for this program is no longer stimulating it, and they've learned a lesson. And that lesson is about their character and their personality, and how they need to create more compassion and freedom and joy and happiness, and how they deserve that in their life, and ultimately more love for themselves. And the great thing about loving yourself is the more you love yourself, the more you understand how much your capacity is to love somebody else. That's right. So love is what it's all about, because everything that people want to achieve actually comes from love. The freedom, the joy, the happiness, the serenity, the compassion, all from love, the only true emotion. So patterns of indirect suggestions. Now, an indirect suggestion is very powerful because it leads the person that accepts the suggestion to think that they've created it themselves. So there is no barrier that is going to take place. And what happens in a barrier is we delete, we distort, and we generalize, and we use our meta programs to decide if it's good for you as a person and as an individual. So an indirect suggestion is extremely powerful. One of the indirect suggestions I use with all of my clients is when they come into my practice room, where which is specifically set up for hypnotherapy. There's 2 chairs, and when people walk in, they often say, "Which chair should I sit in?" I'll say, "Well," and I say, "Sit in the chair that's going to help you make the most amount of progress today." And sometimes they'll walk to one chair and then they'll walk to another chair and okay, I'm going to sit in this one. That's a crucial process that they've been through in their mind, because they've chosen a chair that's going to help them make progress. Isn't that fantastic? That was an indirect suggestion, and ultimately I'm suggesting you're going to make progress today. But instead of me telling somebody they're going to make progress, they choose the chair that's going to represent their progress. Isn't that fascinating? So patterns of indirect suggestions are very powerful. So let's go through a selection of them and see which ones you already use in your everyday life, or maybe you hear other people use them. So what's the explanation of language patterns? Let's discover the explanation of language patterns. So we have direct and indirect suggestions. A direct suggestion appeals directly to the conscious mind, which has an opportunity to evaluate. Sit down. Indirect suggestions go directly to the subconscious mind and are not evaluated as much. I wonder which seat will help you more today. So on page 24 to 23, there's lots of these direct and indirect, there's lots of these indirect suggestions that you can read through. So let's go through them now. Truisms utilizing time. Sooner or later, your eyes are going to close. So we've utilized the time because if someone sat in front of you and they know and you know that closing their eyes is the beginning of the hypnotherapy process, that if you say sooner or later, your eyes are going to close, that's true, because that's going to happen. And if they choose not to close their eyes, then that is a form of sabotage, isn't it? They're stopping themselves from the progress. So your headache can leave now as soon as you want it to leave. So now or as soon as you want it to leave. Covering all possibilities and responses. Soon you will find a finger or thumb moving a little, perhaps by itself. It can move up and down, to the side or press down. It can be slow or quick, or perhaps not move at all. The really important thing is to sense fully whatever feelings develop. Now, isn't that interesting? Because the end is to sense fully whatever feelings develop, and that is linked to the finger. So whatever the finger does, what is important is to sense fully whatever feelings develop. And those feelings could be about anything. And we've associated the finger to an outcome. Embedded commands interspersed in the middle of a conversation to bypass the conscious mind. And I want you to tell me only the things you want to tell me. You can tell me everything. Now, you can tell me everything is the embedded command. And when you change your tone of that section of the embedded command, it then goes into the subconscious mind and isn't processed by the conscious mind because it doesn't make sense. But the subconscious mind hears it and responds to it. Truisms about sensation. Most people can experience one hand being lighter than the other. And if you say that to a person and they have both of their hands on their lap, what you can say to somebody is, I wonder if your body knows when you want to go into a state of trance. And if you put your hands on your legs and you notice your right hand and your left hand, and you notice that one of those hands will take you into trance more than the other. And if you focus on that hand, and it's probably the hand that feels lighter than the other hand. Now, one of the hands is going to feel lighter. And then when you identify that hand, then that's the hand that's going to help them go into trance. So we've utilized an association of a physical feeling and a truism about a sensation as well. Most people enjoy the refreshing coolness of a light breeze. It's true. It's true. So it's a sensation that is a truism. Some people blush easily as they recognize certain feelings about themselves. That's also true. And some people don't also. And negative tag questions. And you can you not? You can try, can't you? You can't stop it, can you? And then there's also positive tag questions. This was nice, wasn't it? And negative until. It is possible. You don't have to go into trance until you are ready. You won't do it until your subconscious is ready. Compound suggestions. A yes set. Are you ready to make a change? Let's start now. And associations. With each breath you take, you become aware of the natural rhythm of your breathing and the knowing that you are ready to start letting go. So we've associated the breathing, and as they become aware of the breathing, you've suggested that they're ready to start letting go. Opposites. And as one hand lifts, the other can press down. Number 7, implications and implied directive, if-then statements. If you sit down, you can then go into trance. And B, now. If you put your feet on the floor and place your hands comfortably on your lap, then you will be ready to enter trance. So we've associated also the action of putting their hands on their lap. We're implying something from that. As that comfort deepens, your subconscious mind can relax while your conscious reviews the nature of the challenge. And when a relevant thought reaches your conscious mind, your eyes can open as you carefully consider it. That's a beautiful statement, because what you've suggested is that their eyes stay closed until a relevant thought reaches their conscious mind. And this is a great convincer to use at an end of a session, because you associate the relevant thought to something important in their life. You've suggested to their subconscious mind that their eyes won't open until that relevant thought reaches their conscious mind. And your eyes can open as you carefully consider it. Isn't that beautifully put? And number 8, bind and double binds, approach and avoidance. Would you like to enter trance now or later? Very similar to when my daughter needs to go to bed. Would you like to go to bed at 7 or 8 o'clock? And she can make a decision, but I've not given her any other choice. But if I asked her when she wanted to go to bed, I don't know what the answer could be. But by giving her 2 choices, she feels she's in control by picking 7 or 8 o'clock. The language patterns are very, very powerful. So let's look now at structuring suggestions. Why is it important to structure a suggestion correctly to achieve the desired outcome? The subconscious mind responds effectively to ambiguity. However, with a suggestion, it needs to be more precise. So where in an induction and in a deepener, you're giving a client's subconscious mind all the room to fill in the spaces, with suggestions we have to be very specific. So although ambiguity is very powerful in some parts and some stages of hypnotherapy, it's not so powerful in the suggestion. Let's cover the 9 points for you to make a highly effective set of suggestions for your clients. Number 1, always use the present tense. Put an idea into the subconscious mind as if it were already an accomplished fact. Example, you are calm and relaxed. Not you will be calm and relaxed. You are calm and relaxed. So it has to be in the present tense. 2, be positive. Do not mention what you are trying to move away from. If you say you are not self-conscious about people, then you release the energy connected to that feeling. Instead, suggest you feel comfortable with people. So by using the negative words, you can trigger your client to feel the feeling that's connected to that. So we want to stay away from the negative, only focus on the positive. So another example, if you said you do not feel negative around people, by saying you do not, the subconscious mind hears you do feel negative around people, and the phrase negative around people could be a trigger and make them think about situations where they will feel negative. So if somebody has stage fright, you do not have stage fright, is a terrible suggestion to make. However, you can say you feel comfortable on stage and you recognize all your abilities growing within you. And every time you get on stage, you feel all of your previous experiences of feeling comfortable on a stage building up within you. Be present and in the moment. Be specific. Choose an area of self-improvement and confine your suggestions to that one area. For instance, don't work on relieving a headache and at the same time giving suggestions for losing weight and giving up smoking. Choose one area to make change. And often a client will come to see and say, I've got a list of things that I want to change. And they'll be reeling off all this list. And my reply to the individuals that do this is say, okay, well, I didn't bring my magic wand with me today, but I know where it is. It's at home next to my fairy dust. And that brings up some laughter and helps them understand that we have to be more practical. So if they do come with a list, pick one of the things. And what you may find is that the list may be all about the same cause. And I'll give you an example of that. An MP came to see me, British MP, and he came with his list, and it had about 8 or 9 different symptoms on it that he wanted to let go of. And as we went through the list, and I was talking to him, it all looked like it came down to one thing, which was confidence. And we were able then to focus on confidence, and all the rest of the list disappeared. It was no longer relevant once we focused on the one domino, the one big domino that we had to push down. And once we found it, we had a successful session, one session, rather than 8 separate sessions. Number 4, be detailed. Structure suggestions to cover every detail of the desired behavior or attitude. The wrong example is you will be an excellent public speaker. Instead, you can say you enjoy talking to people and are filled with friendly feelings towards them. As you begin to speak to them, you take a deep breath and you are calm and relaxed. That's a structured in a detailed way for the subconscious mind to look at more variables. Number 5, use simple but exciting words. Speak to their subconscious mind as if it were a 5-year-old child. Simple words have great energy. Remember that your subconscious mind is your feeling mind. You use words such as confident, powerful, radiant. And number 6, affirm activity. Let your suggestions describe their action behavior, not their ability. So what you wouldn't say is, you have the ability to understand others. That isn't the feeling mind that you're using there. Instead, your family and friends cooperate with you because you understand them and care for them. Number 7, be accurate. If the desired result is one which can be measured, such as weight loss, suggest the exact improvement your client wishes to achieve. Let the subconscious mind know exactly what they want. Number 8, be realistic. For a mother with 4 young children to suggest you always organize your time perfectly would be an almost impossible goal. It would be difficult to visualize and could lead to frustration. Number 9, personalize. Structure your suggestions to suit your client, their attitudes, and their actions. Don't suggest a change in others. As they change, so others around them will change too. So we have 2 suggestive scripts that we've written, only 2, but for now that's enough. We don't want to overcomplicate this process. So we have an abundant script. Everybody wants